Today is Wednesday, so I'm here inshallah to answer your questions from the students and from the teachers as well. So who has a good question? Start with someone new. Maybe the sister here? Yeah. Again? Not true. Yeah. Just some superstitious beliefs. We have the same beliefs in the village where I came from. If you whistle, it's not a good thing. If you have a mirror in your room and you look at your room, it's not good. So what mirrors are made for, right? Just our superstitious beliefs. Someone new, like this guy? Yes. Again? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stop sending prophets? It's a very good question, and we need like a couple of hours to answer the question. But we know from reading the Quran and from reading the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that from the beginning of time till the time of Muhammad ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent 124,000 prophets. So we're talking about thousands of years. So, and the Quran says, وَإِن مِّنْ أُمَّةٍ إِلَّا خَلَ فِيهَا نَذِيرٌ. There's not a single society or nation except that we have sent a messenger or a prophet to that community. So, of course, the Chinese received prophets, the Indians, Mauritius, Turkey, Egypt, different places, even native Indians, the First Nation, I believe that they received prophets as well, but a long time ago. But with time, the teachings were forgotten, and the people started to change their beliefs, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was sending prophets all the time. We know that from reading the Quran and the Sunnah, that whenever a community received a prophet, that prophet was only for them. So say for example, Ibrahim alayhi salam, was he an international prophet? He came for everyone or only for his own people? For his own people. What about Nuh alayhi salam? For his own people. The people of Salih and the people of Thamud. And even the Quran, when he talks about these people, the Quran says, وَإِلَى ثَمُودَ أَخَاهُمْ صَالِحًا وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا وَإِلَى عَادٍ أَخَاهُمْ هُودًا. To the people of Thamud, we sent their brother Salih. And to the people of Shu'aib, we sent their brother Hud. And the people of Thamud, and so on and so forth. So every community, they had their own prophet. What makes the Prophet ﷺ different is that he came for everyone. So every prophet came to solve certain problems in his community. They were worshipping certain idols. They had some wrong beliefs. The people of Shu'aib alayhi salam, they were crooks. They were thieves. So when they used to sell stuff, they would steal. When they weigh stuff, they make sure that the scales are corrupt. They're not even. So they make a profit by fooling people. So that was their problem, and so on and so forth. So every prophet came to solve a problem, and every prophet had a different law. So for example, when it comes to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they had certain beliefs, and of course the dietary restrictions were different, for example, so the laws were different. So for example, in the case of the people of Musa alayhi salam, they are not allowed to eat shrimp, for example. And the different types of fish that live at the bottom of the sea or the seabed. So they don't eat octopus, they don't eat shrimp, they don't eat crab, and all these things. They don't eat camel meat. It's not permissible for them. But it is permissible for us. So every prophet came to solve certain problems and certain beliefs at the same time. But when the Prophet ﷺ came, he brought a message that is good for everyone. It solves all the problems. So when you think about economic problems in the world, Islam has a solution. When you think about the social problems, Islam has a solution. When you think about poverty, when you think about government and how to run a country with fairness and treating everyone with dignity, Islam has the solution. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet ﷺ, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We sent you for everyone as a mercy. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ إِنِّي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ إِلَيْكُمْ جميعا. I've been sent as a prophet for everyone. And since the Prophet ﷺ came as a prophet to everyone, and his message is good for all times and all places, there is no need for another book or another prophet or another sharia or law to come after him. Because this law is good till the end of time for all places. But good question. Barakallahu feek. Probably one of the best questions we received this year. Sister in the back?
So you know how like sometimes when people are praying in July and then for example they're done with the Fatiha and the Surah and then still not like not in the Surah, so can you say more Surah?
I said Dhuhr and Asr.
Like yeah, for example it's still Allah Ahad, but they're still not done so then they still like a new Surah.
So if you are doing basically, if you are praying with the Imam Fajr, Maghrib and Isha, the Imam recites and you listen to his qira'ah. But we're talking about Dhuhr and Asr here, right? So in this case, because the sister says, what if I do Fatiha and I do a short surah and the Imam is not making ruku' yet? He's going on and on and on. So what do? You can basically do another surah or something until he makes ruku'. So you're not only limited to one surah or a few ayat, you can just recite more, inshallah. Jazakallah. We'll take a question from Habiba.
Do you wait until
from the other side.
The other side.
Good question. So the sister is asking, normally people reach puberty, and by this we mean that the person becomes mature, especially physically. So normally it's around 13, 14, but some people start a bit earlier, especially girls. They reach puberty much sooner than the boys, generally. But every person is different. And especially in hot climates around the equator, in Africa, and so on and so forth, because of the weather, they reach puberty faster. So say for example, they start around 10, 11, whereas in cold climates, like in Norway, sometimes they reach 15, 16, 17, and they're not mature yet. I'm talking about physically. So the bottom line is in Islam is not how old you are, it's when you reach puberty. So if someone reaches puberty at the age of 9 or 10, or 14 or 15, they're required now to fulfill the obligations of Islam, like salah 5 times a day, and fasting in the month of Ramadan, and so on and so forth. So age has no relationship to maturity, but in this case, it's the physical changes that happen to the body that makes the person mature. Thank you. What else? We'll take someone from here. Someone new. Get down back. Yes. Louder. Good question. The brother is asking, there's actually a hadith that says, when it is time for Maghrib, stop your kids from running around and hiding in places and so on and so forth because shayateen are out and active, and it's an authentic hadith. But do we have to close the doors and the windows of the house? You don't have to. The only thing is, some of us would play hide and seek and sometimes go to dark places and stuff. Don't do that at this time. And this is something the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith. You can play inside the house or in the light, but don't hide in dark places. It's not recommended. This young brother over there. Sorry. Okay, good question. So the brother is asking, what if you're on Hajj? Hajj is basically like Salah. Like you're standing in Salah, you're doing Hajj, and you have to go to the washroom. what can you do? You gotta do what you gotta do, right? Or it will become very difficult for you. Especially when you are in the Hajj. I'll tell you something. In Ramadan, when they broadcast the Taraweeh live from Mecca and Medina, you see when the Shuraim and Sudais or Hudayfi in Medina, they read Taraweeh and there's the subtitles, the English translation from Mecca and the French from Medina. So I was one of the first team that did this translation from Mecca and Medina. When we used to go to the Haram in Mecca, there was no washrooms inside the building. So when you go inside, it is difficult there are no washrooms. So you have to go outside. And in Ramadan, a lot of people go for Umrah there. I'm talking about Umrah, not even Hajj. Umrah. So if I go inside the studios, in the roof of the Masjid al-Haram in Medina, in Mecca, it would take me about a couple of hours to go out to the washrooms and come back. Because people were staring on the stairs and everywhere. I can't go. So they tell us, whatever you do, make sure you go to the washroom, make wudu before you go upstairs. Because once you are upstairs, you can't go down and come back on time for the live broadcast. Same thing for Hajj. It's difficult to, to find a place, especially when it is very crowded and, So in this case, if it is difficult for you to resume the Hajj, or Salah in this case, then go use the washroom and come back. There's nothing you can do. Because sometimes it would be very difficult. Like, you can't hold it, and it's going to take you about half an hour to go, another half an hour to come back. So if you feel like you can't do it, you have to go to the washroom and come back. Right? Because if you wait last minute, you're doing like this, it's going to take you half an hour, 44 minutes to go to the washroom, you'll be in serious trouble. Big problems will happen. Explosions and floods. And, So you don't have to force yourself too much. I'll take another question.
It's a girl. It's a girl.
You? Yeah, the brother is asking why can't you play hide and seek at Maghrib time? I'm not saying you can't play. I'm telling you where you can play. So you can't play in places where you have light inside the house, where you have light, right? But don't hide and seek in dark places, or you go to the woods, so on and so forth, because the Prophet ﷺ said it is not safe, especially at this time in the dark. Because shaitan, and they are active, there's high traffic of shayateen around this time. So basically, don't hide in dark places. Well, if you come in close encounter with shayateen at this time, maybe something bad will happen to you. So the bottom line is, don't play hide and seek or go to dark places after Maghrib, especially in the woods and stuff. Right? It's not safe, which makes perfect sense. I tell you what, there are some neighborhoods in North America, when I first came, and they told us after sunset, don't leave the house, because it is not safe outside. And we know that by reading the Quran that there are human shayateen and jinni shayateen. A human shaitan is someone who is always motivating you to do the wrong and bad things. Let's go to bad places, hang out with bad people who do terrible things. So this is a human shaitan. A human being, but their acts are not good, basically. So again, it is not safe to go to dark places. I don't want to dwell on this issue, but if it is not safe, just don't go. Khalas, right? Allahu Akbar. Especially when you're young. We'll take Sulaiman.
No, that's 3 boys in a row. 4 boys.
We'll come back to you.
4 boys in a
Can you
row.
pick me?
It's okay.
Me?
You're next, inshallah. Yes. You forgot? You distracted? He's distracted. Okay. He's back in the game.
If you just and then if you pray, does your sin go away?
Yeah, I think we answered this question before. In Islam, there are two rights. Sulaiman, listen. In Islam, there are two rights. The rights of Allah and the rights of the people. The rights of Allah are prayer, namaz, salah, hajj, so on and so forth. The rights of the people, you protect their lives, you don't take their lives or kill them, you don't steal their money, you don't backbite them, say bad things to them, you don't cheat them, steal their money, so on and so forth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in an authentic hadith that He is willing to forgive violations against His own rights. Like say for example, you delayed salah for no reason. You didn't fast properly in the month of Ramadan, Allah is willing to forgive. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not willing to forgive the sins committed against other human beings. Say for example, you kill someone or you stole someone's money. Will Allah forgive you?
No.
No. It is up to the person who was abused, the person who was killed, the person who was taken advantage of, or the person who was abused to forgive you. And Allah says this very clearly in an authentic hadith, that He will never forgive violations against other human beings. It's up to them to forgive, but Allah will never forgive. He forgives His own rights. We'll take one last question.
You said it was her. Or her.
Sister, yes. Okay, we'll make an exception for you. Was it you? I think the sister, yes.
Okay, so my question was,
La hawla. Alas, we'll take the sister and come back to you. Yes, the sister.
when you make dua, why do you have to? Oh yeah, I remember.
Okay. The sister is asking, when you make dua, why do you have to raise up your hands? Well, number one, you don't have to raise your hands. This is number one. Number two, raising the hands is up to you, which basically is the same first point. So, when the Prophet ﷺ was making a serious dua, like before Badr, when the people of Mecca came and they are about to attack them, and he was making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to support them and protect them, this was a very serious time, so he raised his hands. You know when you have a little brother and he wants something from your parents, like they want candy. So what do? They start saying, well, mama, candy, candy. No response. What we will do, he will say candy 250 times. Candy, 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 candy. So your mom's head is about to explode. So your mom is not willing to give him candy. What does he do? He starts crying. Then, when your mom is not listening, he's gonna start, grabbing your mom by her clothes, like raise his hands and try to. So you basically do the same thing when you have a certain dua or a serious request from Allah, like you say, Allah, give me a job or something. If it is taking a longer time, you keep saying the dua every day. You wake up late at night and you make the dua. This is a special time, a good time. And you cry in your dua. And this is a good thing. It shows humility and submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you raise up your hands to Allah, and this is also an act of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a hadith, a beautiful hadith. It says that in Allah ta'ala حيي كريم يستحي أن يرفع العبد إليه يديه ثم يردهما صفرا يعني فارغتين. The Prophet ﷺ says, and I conclude with this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most generous and He has haya, this sense of shyness. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shy when you raise your hands up to Him. He is shy to let your hands come down empty. When you raise your hands to Allah asking for something, Allah is shy to return your hands empty or to make you empty-handed. You always come back with something because Allah has this haya and He has karam, generosity. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins, accept our good deeds. We'll answer the rest of the questions next week because
But she remembered, please.
I lost my voice, so I have to answer you in sign language. But we'll do it next week when I regain my voice.
Do it in
inshallah.
sign language.
Next week, inshallah. Make dua for me.
Okay.
يلا سلام عليكم. And I have